Sports Desk. Thank you, Payne Weber.
They're revving up in Texas for Busch Grand National Racing. Today, the eyes of Texas are on 43-time winner Mark Martin. He's the two-time defending champion here. He's the one the Top Guns are gunning for. Overall, point leader Matt Kenseth seeks his second win of the season. Two-time Grand National champion Randy LaJoie will be tough. And last season's point runner-up Jeff Green is fired up for the running of the Albertson 300, presented by Pop Secret. Next. July from Fort Worth, Texas, 300 miles of NASCAR Grand National Racing today, 500 miles tomorrow on this big weekend. And the weather is the story, as it has been since Tuesday here in Fort Worth. Back on Fort Worth's Tuesday night, a nightmare here. Storms ravaging, tornadoes crashing through. Today, well, we've got good temperatures, but the possibility of rain is right over my shoulder. And a good day, everyone. Ken Squire with you as we get ready for another NASCAR Grand National event on this great speedway. They've just introduced the drivers. They're in the cars. We're about ready to go. But the weather continues to be the story. And for more on that story right now, let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Ken, unfortunately, the weather map shows you nothing but the colors of green and red, which are not what you want to see. You see this big patch of blinking red and yellow right there just below in the lower left corner is where the Texas Motor Speedway is situated at. This storm is moving more easternly and northernly at the same time. So this big storm is going to come right above the speedway here just momentarily. The skies are getting dark around the speedway, and we're going to be stuck in this for a little while, gentlemen. And Mike, it doesn't look good for a little while, but behind this, there is some clear sky. Mike Joy?
So weather is the story. Hello, everyone, and welcome high atop Texas Motor Speedway. We're the indoor crew today. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Ned Jarrett. And the big story of this race is it's NASCAR's Stars of Tomorrow against the stars you'll see tomorrow in the Winston Cup race. And Buddy Baker, is there any substitute for experience?
They say not, but it is racing. Anything can happen. There's some great drivers, Winston Cup drivers, that have done it all. Mark Martin, 43 times he's won on this circuit. But I will tell you something. Anything can happen. That's why they call it racing and not winning.
Mark Martin's won 3 of his starts this year, but Ned Jarrett, equally as big a story is the inexperience that's in this field.
On a very fast racetrack. This is one of the fastest racetracks the Busch Series runs on. There are 12 drivers in this field who have never raced here in competition in the Busch Series, and 4 of those 5 drivers are starting in the first 5 positions. Only Mark Martin is mixed up amongst them there. Jason Leffler starting on the pole, a rookie. In fact, he's in only his 7th race.
Wow. Well, William Emmons, the Grand Marshal, has given the command to fire engines, and you see them ready to roll out behind the Chevrolet safety car. So we'll be back with the starting lineup and hopefully the start of the Albertsons 300 presented by Pop Secret.
Sports coverage of the Albertsons 300 is sponsored by the Home Depot, the official home improvement warehouse of NASCAR. www.wrenchhead.com. Parts online all the time. And by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. The cars have pulled out on the first of the pace laps. A couple of drivers stopping there to readjust things and now going again. So we're going to get this race started and hopefully run it green to checker if the weather cooperates. Let's have a look at the starting lineup. 97 USAC midget champ Jason Leffler has his first pole. And there's Mark Martin, who's won 3 of 4 starts this year. 2 rookies in row 2, Jay Sauter from out of the Truck Series with his best Busch Series start, and Kevin Harvick. Row 3 is Bobby Hamilton Jr., a sophomore in this series, and Steve Park, who might have won the inaugural, but got taken out by a lapped car. Jeff Burton, the winner at Las Vegas last month, and Mike Dillon in the top 10 at Daytona. Joe Nemechek in row 5, who ran third here 2 years ago, and Jeff Green, who was second this year at Rockingham and Bristol. Todd Bodine is second in the points. He has 4 straight top 5 finishes. And Dick Trickle, the ageless one, he was 39 years old when Adam Petty was born. There's the 19-year-old in row 7 with Randy LaJoie, 2-time series champ. Tim Fedowa next to rookie, former NASCAR Truck Series champ Ron Hornaday. David Green, the 94 series champion, and Mike McLaughlin, 4th here 1 year ago. Elton Sawyer, an 18-year Busch Series veteran, and Mark Green. Rookie Jimmy Johnson, former off-road champ, and Kevin LePage, who was 3rd at Atlanta. Mike Bliss makes his first series start of the year, and Kenny Irwin Jr. 19-year-old Casey Atwood, who won 2 last year, and the point leader and Daytona winner this year, Matt Kenseth. Ward Burton qualified 22. Kenny Wallace will drive it today. Blaze Alexander shares the 14th row. Hank Parker Jr., 3 top 10s in the 6 races this year, and Jack Sprague, the 2-time truck champ. Yes, that's Jeff Gordon, a 4-time winner in this series. He's back in the 16th row with Tennessee's Chad Chapin. Next, it's Kevin Grubb, who is 5th at Atlanta with Daytona pole sitter Hut Strickland. Wayne Grubb makes his 3rd Texas start, and Jeff Purvis timed into the field. The rest of these drivers, provisional starters, Phil Parsons and Maine's Andy Santerre. Jason Keller and former ASA champ Tony Raines. Lyndon Amick with Buckshot Jones. And finally, no relation, P.J. Jones, that's Parnelli's kid, out of road racing and Indy cars. He's a rookie in the Busch Series as well. Our Winn-Dixie cam on board with Mark Martin from the outside pole. Our Northern Light camera riding with Jeff Burton in another Roush Ford, starting 7th. Our Napa onboard camera is in the 8th row with Ron Hornaday. There's our Gould's Pumps camera with a good look at Mike McLaughlin. He'll go off 18. And our Lowe's Yellow Freight camera with Mike Bliss starting 23rd. Matt Kenseth, the Visine onboard camera with the point leader, 26th today. And just ahead of him to the left, you see the 22, and then we'll have 57, Jason Keller, with the Excedrin cam on board, the 39th starter. Now as they take the 1-to-go signal, if it's Kenny Wallace on board, that number 22, in relief of Ward Burton, who had a bad crash in Winston Cup practice yesterday and damaged his foot, may have decided to sit this one out. If Kenny Wallace is in the car, he'll drop to the back of the field, as he is doing now. And we'll start tail end after the driver change.
And Mike, there were a long list of drivers who failed to qualify for this 300-mile race today. Those that are highlighted are full-time NASCAR Winston Cup drivers, so some big names that didn't make the field.
Manufacturer's breakdown in today's field. There'll be 33 Chevrolets, 5 Fords, and 5 Pontiacs.
There are 43 cars starting the race today. They go 200 laps, that's 300 miles. Fuel window 70 to 73 laps, purse over $1 million. The race record was set a year ago by Mark Martin at just over 127 miles an hour.
Let's go to pit road. Dick Berggren.
Dale Earnhardt has the nickname Intimidator, but in this series, perhaps they should call Mark Martin the Intimidator. In a tour of the garage this morning, talking to both drivers and crew chiefs, all they said was, whatever can we do with Mark Martin? He has won 3 of the 6 stock car races here at Texas, won 3 out of his first 4 starts in this series this year. He was second in the other. He is the clear favorite, Mike. To Ralph.
Well, Dick, I've talked to some of the crew chiefs down here, including Brian Frazier, the crew chief, for our pole starter here today, Jason Leffler, about what they will do in case the rains do show up here. They have talked to all their crew members. They have a plan in place. Each member will have something to do as far as covering the car, pulling tarps out, covering up tires, getting the pit area as dry as they can, keeping their cars as dry as they can, so when the race goes back to green, they'll be ready to go racing, actually.
Pace car is in. Threatening skies, rain on the horizon, but we're going to get this underway. Green flag, and Jason Leffler leads them down to turn 1 with Mark Martin on the outside.
And Jay Salter in the 43 also in second place right now. And Kevin Harvick in the 2 car. Giving Mark Martin all he can stand right here at the first, but don't get excited. Mark Martin, a very patient driver.
3 young rookies take the first 3 spots, and Martin is backing up a bit to 5th place.
He's looking for a place to get down in the inside groove, but he couldn't find it.
For the lead, Sauter to the inside.
Now, Jay Sauter is new to the Busch Series this year, but he does have experience on this track in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Yeah, he drove for Richard Childress last year, and he actually won a truck race here, and he was on the pole also. So he has a good background at this racetrack. Mark Martin right now is waiting on the air pressure to get up in the tires here. They run low air pressure, and usually it takes a while to get going.
For the lead, Harvick. Kevin Harvick goes to the front. 3 laps, 3 different leaders.
Well, these guys are racing as if the rain does come, that the race will be over. That won't be the case. They'll have to go at least halfway before it's an official race. But a lot of good racing here to begin with.
Mark Martin, Ned, is mired back in about 11th. Make that 10th place.
Yeah, he got up on that high side groove and just simply couldn't get down. His buddy said he was waiting to get the air pressure built in those tires so he'd feel comfortable with him. And certainly didn't feel comfortable up on the outside. We're riding with Mark now. He is down on the inside following Mike Dillon.
And that was Jeff Burton in the 9 car that was caught on the outside there. Mark Martin just drove right back by him.
Well, this time it's the Busch Series regulars that are freight training the Winston Cup drivers, trying to keep them out of the front spot. Let's go back to pit road. Dick Berggren.
Mark Martin's spotter does not have the best possible vantage point. Mark has asked him for more help. He really felt as if he got hung out there on the start of this race. Nothing wrong with the race car. He just couldn't find his way down to the lower groove, Mike.
You need that, Ned. You need that kind of help.
Oh, you do. Absolutely. On a track as fast as they run here. And the hole closed up so quick down there, and he needed that help from the spotter.
Look at this race for 20th place. Mike McLaughlin and Kenny Irwin.
Mike, that's one thing that's made this Grand National Busch Series so popular is they race in the back of the, just like the guys going, that's Casey Atwood in the 27 there, Elton Sawyer in the 98 on the outside. These guys are going at it like they're running for the lead.
One of the few Fords in the field, car number 98 of Elton Sawyer. Only 3 Fords in the field. He's one of them.
Now they're about a straightaway behind the leader.
The leader has checked out. Kevin Harvick has really moved away. It didn't take long to get that far behind him.
Look at the interval Harvick is built up on 43, Jay Sauter.
Richard Childress just has a knack when he builds a race car, whether it be Dale Earnhardt or whoever, if it's his truck or if it's this car right here. They just build great race cars, and Kevin Harvick, what a break he got to drive for Richard Childress.
He's a very talented young man.
Dogfight for third, Jason Leffler trying to hold off Joe Nemechek. Jeff Green is there. Todd Bodine, 66, is part of it. And right behind him, these 2 cars. Mike Dillon with Jeff Green, and here's Mark Martin working his way back up front.
Oh, I tell you what, Mark's turned it up a notch right now, but Mike Dillon right in front of him there. He's doing quite a job in the 21 car. That's also a lot of assistance to that car from Richard Childress.
Let's get an update on the leader from Bill Stevens.
My Kevin Harvick obviously putting on a show here, and his crew chief Todd Berrier couldn't be happier. That car a month ago was on a chassis dynamometer back at the shop and burned from the firewall forward. There was a fuel leak. By the time they got the fire out, that car was toasted from the windshield forward. They rebuilt that car, brought it here, qualified 4th, and you can see the job it's doing right now.
First race that Kevin Harvick has led since Daytona, where he led 15 laps and finished 5th. For 3rd place,
Joe Nemechek in the 87 there, making a move right now just in front of him. Jason Leffler trying to hold him off, but he's not going to be able to. Joe Nemechek gets around this racetrack very, very well.
Todd Bodine in the number 66 Chevrolet will try to pass as well. Leffler driving one of the 5 Pontiacs in the field.
And that missile on the inside there, that's Mark Martin going by everybody.
For more on pole sitter Jason Leffler, Ken Squire.
Yeah, Leffler held on to that third spot for the first 8 laps here. Let's not forget that he did have a very good run in the ARCA race at Atlanta last fall. He finished 5th, and he ran it steady all day. The 3-time USAC midget champion really getting a big initiation here at Texas today, finally dropping back just a bit here in the standings. But we look for him to be a real contender in years to come. If you were to hire a guy on St. Patrick's Day to be an elf, he would be a real candidate.
There he is in 6th place, and that number 18 with Jeff Green riding a tight draft. 11 laps complete. Kevin Harvick is your leader. Jay Sauter runs in 2nd. Joe Nemechek 3rd. Mark Martin is up to 4th after backsliding to 5th, or rather to 10th. Todd Bodine has the 5th spot. 11 laps complete in the Albertsons 300 by Pop Secret.
Are these your final numbers?
Welcome back to Texas. 16 laps complete. There have been a few sprinkles, and now the yellow flag is coming out for the first time this afternoon, and it's 4 raindrops. They were able to run 4 or 5 laps with a light sprinkle because there was still enough heat in the racetrack from these race cars and the abrasion of the tires in the corners that they could run under green. But now NASCAR's determined it's a little too wet to race, so the caution's coming out. Jack Sprague had just made a pit stop.
He had slowed on the racetrack, Mike, and just came into the pit just as the caution was coming out, so it cost him at least a lap. Now, these tires, for the fans that might be new to this type of racing, the tires that they use on these cars do not have tread like your street tires would have. They're very slick, and they will not adhere to wet pavement. So the least a little bit of rain. There's the tire that we're talking about. You see how slick the pavement, the racing surface is on the tires, and boy, if it gets wet, there's no traction, buddy.
Yeah, and those little sight holes across there, that's how you check how much you're wearing off the tire. They have a gauge they can stick in those holes and tell how much of the rubber's gone, because you can't look at the tire and tell how much wear you have.
Through the 1960s, they raced with treaded tires, but the tire company engineers rightly figured that if they filled in those grooves, it would be more rubber surface on the racetrack. So slick tires have been the norm ever since, and these cars do not race in the rain. However, Goodyear, the sole tire supplier to the circuit, has tested rain tires at Watkins Glen, New York, and it may be that we'll see cars there with windshield wipers and rain lights in the back and treaded tires one of these days. Here's how they run at 17 laps. One of those rookies, Kevin Harvick, has jumped to the front. Nemechek, Mark Martin. CBS Sports coverage of the 2000 Albertson 300 will return after this message and a word from your local station.
Volunteers, we all have regular jobs. We can be coming from anywhere.
Well, what started out as a light sprinkle has turned into the full wash cycle. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, as you can see, that red glob has moved right over Texas Motor Speedway that we had talked about earlier. That red blob is right over it on the weather screen here, and behind that is a bunch of different shades of green. So it is going to be a little while before we see any weather conditions that's going to allow us to dry the racetrack off and get back to racing. And there's lightning and thunder in the area as well.
Yeah, this just moved in here in a big hurry. From our vantage point, a top start-finish, we could see Interstate 35W and Texas Route 114. And now all you can see is the very dark storm clouds and little else. That is the Speedway Club on the right side of your screen. And it's hard to see the condos in turn two. But let's go down to the pit of the lead car, Dick.
And I'm with Todd Barrier, crew chief for Kevin Harvick's car. With all of this rain, what do you worry about most? Is it electronics in the pits, electronics in the car, the racetrack? You worry about it all?
I don't worry about a whole lot. Nothing you can really do about it. You know, we knew the rain was coming. Should have started the race, you know, on Eastern time, I guess. But I think the car will be fine. The racetrack will be fine. I mean, we've been pretty decent the whole time. We've unloaded. The main thing, you know, we just make sure that this thing gets back good. And if they run a little bit long there under caution with it raining pretty good, so we're going to have to politic for maybe an air cleaner, a few little things like that. But all in all, I think everything will be fine.
How did the prediction of rain affect your race setup?
None really at all. You know, we nothing we've really done to the thing has affected it a whole lot. You know, I mean, normal changes have acted the way they should, so we just kind of went from yesterday's noon practice and just kind of went from that.
Even with the heat-treated chassis, this car seems to be running just fine, Mike.
I would say. Well, once this track does get dry and the rain stops, and we're told that it will just a little bit later on this afternoon, the track that they pull out on to race on is going to be a little bit different surface than what they had to race on at the start of this event after practice and all.
It'll be different, but I was talking with a lot of drivers in the garage area yesterday, and they were all telling me that the grip in the corners here is so very, very good that the cars work quite well no matter what. So I don't think they'll have a problem when they go back racing.
Well, with the racetrack green, you know, after it rains a bit, buddy, what's it feel like the first lap on a green racetrack?
Really, it feels pretty good because you've washed the oil and all off the racetrack, and all you have to do is get a little rubber back in the racetrack and heat the tires, and you're ready to go. So it's not a big problem. Now, had you just come into the racetrack this morning and started, you're not going to wash everything out of the racetrack. You're still going to have a groove, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Ned, race strategy and all with this kind of delay, how is it affected?
Well, certainly they'll have to be a little bit concerned if water did get in the couple of laps that they ran with sprinkled, if any water got in through the carburation system or into the air cleaner and those kind of things. Ignition, they have those things fixed pretty well today where there's not a big concern as far as dampness is concerned. Not even our street cars today, you don't have to worry about that much. Now, back when I was growing up, that was a big concern. Even when I was racing, it was a big concern, but not so much today.
Look at Randy LaJoie. Does this look like a guy that would go out and play in the rain without an umbrella, you know, or galoshes? Let's find out from Dick Berggren.
Well, Randy LaJoie. Hello, Randy. You're on camera. What does this do to you, the rain?
Gets us wet. That's about it.
Well, there's a good answer for a very simple question. How does it affect the race car?
It's going to affect all of them the same. I don't think it's going to affect it a whole lot. I mean, we practiced yesterday and about the same weather. Guess we got time to go to Bob Evans, get some lunch now.
In past years, we've seen a lot of crashes in practice for this race. This year, we saw virtually none. Why?
I guess after you hit once, you could be a lot more careful. But this is not a good place to wreck at. We're going awfully fast. We're about wide open all the way around here. And, you know, if you mess up, you're going to hit something hard. But, I mean, the crews have gotten better. The cars have gotten a lot better. Motors have gotten a lot better. Tires have gotten real good. I mean, Goodyear come here with an awesome tire, and it's got a lot of grip, and we're hauling the mail through the center of these corners.
How's your race car?
Pretty darn good. Pretty sporty. I'm a little bit free in the center of the corner, but usually once the fuel load gets down, that should be perfect. So I wasn't getting a whole lot of pressure from behind, and I was going forward. We got a pretty good sporty hot rod here.
All right, well, good luck with it. Mike?
Randy LaJoie is in 10th place as we are under a red flag condition now for rain at lap 19. There's David Green's crew buttoning things up. And we'll be back to squeegee that lens and bring you more from Texas Motor Speedway on CBS after this.
Squire with you here, and Texas, where they're always ready for everything. Creedence Clearwater in the background on the public address, and the rains are coming down. They could do Gene Kelly and April showers out here today. I think one of the things they were most concerned about when they get these heavy showers these days down here, they get tremendous hailstones, some as big as snowballs back here on Tuesday when the tornado came through. But we seem to have avoided that, and we're just waiting for this to move by, and the chances are pretty good that we're going to go back to racing on this 1.5 mile track, where the first 28.5 miles, 19 laps have been flawlessly driven by this entire 43-car field. Let's join Ralph Shaheen. He's with another one of the stars, or to Bill Stevens. Bill Stevens with one of the top stars in the show.
That's right, Ken. It's front row Joe Nemechek, but maybe rowboat Joe today. Wow, that sneaked in here, didn't it?
I tell you what, when it started coming down, it's coming down hard. I said, the guy on the radio said, guys, it's raining hard, and it started getting slippery quick. But, hey, our Cellular One Nortel Network Chevy's running good today. Didn't qualify where we thought we should have been, but we got back up there pretty quick. I think Mark kind of got shuffled out of line there, but he'll be back.
Were you out there long enough to figure out just how good your car is today?
Car's pretty good. Handling real well. We're just trying to be real easy on it to start. You know, here it's tough. You know, just the bottom groove's worked in right now, and the guys kind of got stuck in the high side. But I think later on in the race, you're going to see that groove move up a little bit, and should be some pretty good racing.
This track owes you a couple of years ago. Oh, so close. Dale Earnhardt Jr., that pass on you toward the end of the race, you finished second. So, I mean, you'd like to probably reverse that this time around.
Oh, I definitely would. You know, we've had a fast car every time we've been here, you know, since the first time we came, but it's going to be tough. You know, I know our car's working real good. Mark's going to be a factor before this race is over. I can guarantee you that. Jeff Burton will be up there. There's just no telling until it's all over.
Well, you know, one of the things we talk about every time we come to Texas is the experience and the inexperience. You're a Cup guy running in the Busch Series. Is it a little bit of a concern to you to be out there with some of these guys that really either haven't run this track or haven't run Busch that much?
Well, it's not really a concern. They just need to get laps. I mean, I look back at my days when I first started in Busch back in 1990, and you just had to get laps. I mean, I was racing against Dale Earnhardt and all those guys, but you have to get laps. You have to get experience. Texas is probably one of the trickiest tracks we go to as far as corner entry. Really tricky, and if you're not right, you can be in trouble.
Well, go dry off, and we'll get ready maybe for this thing later on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Joe Nemechek.
So here at Texas at the present time, situation is this. The cars are under the tarpaulins, and the excitement's been put on hold for just a few moments as we continue to have a pretty good shower going at this mile-and-a-half track. There you see the guys who are leading at the present time here at Texas in this NASCAR 300-mile race. Back in a moment.
When it comes to getting the right parts,
sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series.
And here's where we are after six races have been completed this season. Matt Kenseth is leading in the point standings over Todd Bodine, who's having a heck of a year, and Randy LaJoie looking for that third national title right there. And Mark Martin's been the story. He's run 4 races. He's won 3 of them this year. And you've got Burton and Kenseth and the gang there trailing along behind. So that's how things look at the present time on the Busch NASCAR Grand National scene. And a summary of what's seen. Well, right now we're seeing nothing but showers. A heavy rainstorm has hit the track. This is a weekend when they anticipate some 250,000 people will be here at this Texas Motor Speedway to enjoy NASCAR competition, and we want to bring you some action as we have a delay. So let's go back to February and Daytona and take a look at the Napa Auto Parts 300 from the Busch Grand National Series.
Hit the wall, I was knocked unconscious, so I don't remember any of this flipping, crashing, the fires, and this hit here was just terrible, but fortunately I don't remember that.
Scary you now?
I've seen that video many times. I've analyzed it, and that didn't scare me, but I do have the remains of the truck at my shop in Charlotte, and I went there several times and it didn't bother me, but I was pretty well medicated when I saw it. I saw it last week for the first time without medication, and on the way home it finally did bother me. I broke down and realized that how close I was to losing the ability to see my kids, my mother and my friends and my family, and it really did bother me, but that's behind me. I got it behind me now, and I'm ready to go racing.
The commitment is still there.
Oh yeah, the desire is still there. I want to go out there and prove to myself that I still have it, and I'm confident we can do that in California.
The makings of a racing champion. Jeffrey Bodine, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks, Ken.
Well, coming up next, Adam Petty will be with us, who's going to make his Winston Cup debut tomorrow here at Texas Motor Speedway, and we'll be talking with him in a moment. CBS Sports coverage of the 2000 Albertsons 300 presented by Pop Secret will return after this message and a word from your local station.
Sports coverage of the Albertsons 300 is sponsored by Nextel. How business gets done. Excedrin, the headache medicine. and by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. Lowe's, improving home improvement.
A 250,000 people are going to be here this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. Great crowd out today. Most of them are under the grandstand trying to get out of these showers as we try to get this 300-mile Busch NASCAR Grand National event back underway. There you see the condition as you look through the double dog leg in the main chute. And let's go down to Ralph Shaheen with a major story here in Texas.
Well, Ken, we're back in the rinse cycle, I think, here with the storms. It's starting to rain again, and I'm joined by Adam Petty, and you've got a doubleheader weekend coming up for the first time here on a NASCAR weekend. You've got the Busch race going on right now, which you're currently running 12th in, and then tomorrow, your first ever NASCAR Winston Cup race where you'll start 33rd. How much of a relief is it to get the car in the Cup show for tomorrow?
I guess it's a big relief. You know, sprint pole day on Thursday went good for the Busch car. Sprint pole day on Friday was a little bit hairier. I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, but I did my rain dance last night, and evidently everything paid off. I did really badly want to race today, though. I didn't want to cancel this race. The Busch car is really, really good, and like I said, tomorrow I don't know what I have for the Winston Cup race, but I'm gonna go out and just ride. And I got 2 goals tomorrow. I got gain their respect over there in the Winston Cup Series, earn a little bit, and then learn and gain as much experience on this racetrack and racing with those guys as I can. So I'm looking forward to it. Come and ask me how 500 miles was after I get out with my tongues hanging out, but hopefully it'll be a good time.
Now, we see a lot of the Winston Cup drivers like Mark Martin running back and forth and doing doubleheader weekends a lot, and that can be a very tough thing for a veteran driver. How tough was it for you to focus even on your Busch car here today with the Cup program going on?
Well, honestly, you know, I think running the Winston Cup car and just making one-lap runs and going out and practicing has helped my Busch car tremendously. And, you know, looking at those guys now, I can see why they come over and run good, because it does help them running back and staying on the track constantly. You feel the track changes all day long. And from the time, because you're always out there in the track, you got a 1-hour Busch practice, 5-minute break, and then a 1-hour Winston Cup practice. So you're constantly on the racetrack, and you can feel the track change. So I think that helped me yesterday a little bit. Didn't help me run any faster in the Winston Cup car. Would have liked to got in the top 25, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
And you're the first 4th-generation driver in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, and that's a pretty exciting thing to be able to say you are. But you're also going to be something else tomorrow. You're going to be the first NASCAR Winston Cup driver to share a bedroom with his brother who still lives at home. Tell me about that.
Why'd you go there?
Because we're friends.
Yeah, last week I'm building a house, and the house has took a little bit longer than everybody thought it was going to take. And my dad put on the construction on it just so he could throw it up in my face. And I'm the only Winston Cup driver that still rooms with his brother and lives at home, and Mom does her laundry. So, so there's a lot of ands in there. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be a fun weekend. Sure wish that my dad could have been able to run, but a little heartbroken for that. They just never really got their car going. It was off a little bit all weekend long. But there'll be another chance. We got 4 more tries again in the Winston Cup car. And looking forward to that.
Well, Kyle Petty did not make the race, as Adam points out. But, you know, Ken, it's got to be pretty exciting to be this young man right now. You got a great Busch team going, your first ever Winston Cup race, and you get to move out of the house for the first time on Monday.
What a great kid. What a great racing family. The story of the Pettys. Let's meet the man who's going to be outside of the front row tomorrow. Another one of those New Englanders, Dick Berggren.
I'm with Kevin LePage. He's doing double duty this weekend, running in today's race with the number 71 car. And in that capacity, he really has 2 jobs. One is as the driver, the other is as the car owner. And as the car owner, you're really kind of ready to look for somebody else to wheel this thing. Build a team, put a young driver in it. What do you look for in a young driver?
Well, obviously, you're looking for another Kevin LePage or a Mark Martin or a Matt Kenseth. You know, these guys, you know, we started this race team, myself and Steve Plattenberger, right around Christmas, I guess. And, you know, we've got an 8-race sponsorship deal with Redman. But, you know, the main reason we're doing this deal is to build the future for Matrix Motorsports. And we're looking to hire somebody next year and to run a full Busch schedule.
What's it take to run these things, run them fast, while we're looking at your qualifying run in the Winston Cup car?
I don't know. I'd like to see it, too, because it was pretty awesome. you know, we unloaded the FamilyClick.com Taurus on Friday, and it was fast right off the trailer. And we just nailed 3 and 4 basically. David Smith from the 31 team was up there timing corner speeds, and we were about 2 tenths quicker than everybody through that corner. And I really thought I had a pole this time, but Texas Terry came out here in Texas and laid one down. But you know, if we keep qualifying on the front row or in the top 5, we'll get that pole before the year's over with.
Get that win one of these days soon, Ken.
Indeed. Grew up on the bull rings up in northern New England, and here he is on the outside of the front row with Terry Labonte for tomorrow's 500 to be seen live right here on CBS. So here are the leaders in this rain-delayed Albertson's 300 presented by Pop Secret, and we'll be back with more in a moment.
When you're heading
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Ford. The latest innovations, the greatest traditions.
19 laps complete here at Texas, and as we're under the red flag, we'll take a snapshot of the Busch Grand National rookie point standings after 6 races complete. Now note that Matt Kenseth, the point leader, is racing Winston Cup full-time this year, so he won't be out there the full season and contend for the championship. So Todd Bodine, Randy LaJoie set to battle the season long, along with 5th place point man Ron Hornaday and former champ David Green, with Kenseth and Gordon headed back for Winston Cup for the full season. They won't be there when this season winds down for the Busch Series. 19 laps are complete here in Texas, and the ceiling has lifted and the sky is brightened. We saw a little patch of blue sky, but the conditions here are quite variable, and they seem to change by the minute. There are 4 jet dryers. The track owns one, and they have rented 3 others. And General Manager and Vice President Eddie Gossage has said we'll do whatever we can to make sure the fans don't leave here today or tonight without seeing the whole 300 miles. But in the meantime, let's get you back to racing at Daytona. We'll go back to the Napa 300 from this February, joining it in progress at lap 52. Complete at Daytona. Kenny Irwin stopped on lap 48. Joe Nemechek lap 49. Lap 50. Adam Petty, Bobby Hamilton, and Mark Green make pit stops. Battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th on the speedway. Kenny Wallace, number 25, left side of your screen, has now moved up to the 4th spot. That's Terry Labonte, number 44. Buckshot Jones, the red car, and Randy LaJoie's in it as well.
Jay Salter in the 43 there, just behind the 2 you were just talking about. And these guys have been going at it like, and Randy LaJoie, the winner of the race last year here in the number 1 car.
300. Hello, everyone, and welcome back live to the Texas Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with you as you watch the 4 jet dryers out trying to clean the water off of this 1.5-mile quad oval, and they're doing a pretty effective job. One of these belongs to the track, and they brought in 3 additional once they heard the weather forecast to try to get this track back in a raceable condition fairly soon. It had really darkened here. The skies were almost black. All of the speedway lights were on, and then just about 15 minutes ago the skies began to lighten, and the lights were turned off, and so this is natural daylight that you see here as they begin to uncover some of the cars. So we're still hopeful of racing here in Texas, but coming up, CBS Sports presents the biggest day in college basketball, the NCAA Men's Final Four. In the first game, it's the Big Ten rules, when John Bryant sparks the Wisconsin Badgers against Mateen Cleaves and the Michigan State Spartans. Then Billy Donovan's young and restless Florida Gators try to overwhelm Ed Cota and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Coverage will begin with the Final Four show coming up next on CBS. So we're still under the red flag at 19 laps. Track drying efforts have really intensified here. Let's go down to the garage area and Dick Berggren.
As we're looking at the weather map, and the weather is improving, as is the forecast. This is the junk that we have just been through, that yellow and red and the blinking lights. That's the heavy rain. Here is what's coming. Clear. We're going to get a race in this afternoon, Mike Joy.
Yes, we are, and if not, this track is brightly lit, and they intend to get these 300 miles completed before they send the fans home tonight to get ready for tomorrow's 500-mile Winston Cup race. Well, we did get 19 laps in, 3 lead changes in the first 3 laps. Pretty exciting, and it's Kid Harvick, as Ken Squire calls him, up front as we take you back through the running order. All of these cars, save one, are on the lead lap. Jack Sprague made a pit stop and lost 2 laps in the process, so he'll be 43rd. The last man you see 2 laps down. Everyone else is on the lead lap at 19 laps. Have a look for your favorite driver. Pole sitter Matt Kenseth there, or rather point leader Matt Kenseth there in the 24th spot as we look back through the field. And I'm really amazed here at how quickly this storm has passed through, and the sky has lightened. It is so much brighter now than it was even 20 minutes ago, and we can see the hills to the east and Interstate 35W and Highway 114 to the south. So the dryers will continue their task and hopefully make quick work of drying this steeply banked turns here at Texas. The pits are being dried, and we'll be right back. Dr. Consaven. It's an all-new City of Angels, Wednesday on CBS. At Texas Motor Speedway, the track jet dryers are working hard down in turns 1 and 2. They have vacuum trucks along the pit road, along with some other blowing equipment, and everybody's out with the squeegees trying to clear their pit stalls, and everybody's hopeful of getting back to racing here fairly quickly. At Texas, most of the fans have sought cover, and they're doing a very good job of updating them on the PA system when to come back for a further update, so they just don't park there and continue to get wet. Well, a fellow who's had quite a start to this season, let's visit with the 4th place point man. He's with Bill Stevens.
Right, Mike, and he finished 2nd in Busch points last year, Jeff Green, and we've been watching a replay of the Napa 300 from Daytona earlier this year, and that incident that you had, which wasn't just ugly, that was strip joint near the airport ugly.
Well, it was not the way to start a point season out, no doubt about it, but our Nesquik Chevy was great at Daytona, and I think it's pretty good here today too. So hopefully Mother Nature will let us get back racing here. I think you know, we were just as quick as the leaders, so if we can just get up there to him, I think we got something for him.
Back to Daytona for a second. People are still marveling. Hey, bro, there's David Green, his brother right there. People are still marveling over the fact that when you get out of the race car in Daytona, you had your sponsor's hat on. Now, that's presence of mind.
Well, I wanted to get out of there, and that's what they teach you in sponsor school, to put your hat on. So it's one way to get advertisement for Nestle, but we didn't want to do it that way, going flying through the air. But hopefully we can get them a win here today.
You've made no secret of the fact you are going hard for that championship this year. Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr. now out of the picture, and that sort of opens the door for guys like you now.
Wish they was still here. I mean, Matt's still racing with us a little bit, but we have a great team. I'm very blessed to have my race team, and Harold Holly gives those race cars to me every week and win these races and run in the top 5. So that's what it takes to win a championship, I think. If we can put together some runs here and not have any trouble, I think we'll be okay.
We'll be watching later.
Thanks.
Let's go to Ralph Shaheen, who's with a driver who'll be rooting for those Wisconsin Badgers later on.
That's a very good point. That he will. Jay Sauter started this race in 3rd. You went all the way to the front, led a lap, you went all the way down to 4th as the rains came. Something go wrong with the car, you just relax it.
Well, we're a little bit tight right now, and obviously it's a long race, so there's no sense in using up the equipment. There's plenty of time. There's adjustments we can make, and I think we can get it back where it'll be racy.
Now, racing in the Sauter family has been exactly that, a family affair. How many Sauters are currently working on this car of yours?
Well, my brother Jimmy is working on this car real hard. I tell you what, he's really the one that got me interested in this team, or got me looking at them and them looking at me, and so it's really worked out well.
This Texas track has been really good for you, too. You came here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series last year and had great success. Where did you find in the truck that maybe you can utilize in the Busch car? Anything?
Well, you know, the Busch cars have taken a lot more transition than I thought they would from the trucks, but I've always liked this track since the first time I came here. It's one of those fast race tracks. You know, a little bit of what I learned in the truck you can use in the Busch cars, but the Busch cars go a lot faster through the corners. So, you know, it's all about handling, just like any old short track you're at. Texas, as big as it is all about handling.
Food is really big in Rainouts. Get anything good to eat?
Absolutely. I've had some pork chops and some strawberry cheesecake. I'm having a great time.
Okay, now the big thing coming up, of course, on CBS is our coverage of the Final Four. Wisconsin guy, how big are those Badgers going to go? How far?
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, they've done an awesome job so far, and I'm really excited about it. I think they got a good chance. You know, they got the momentum going, everybody's focused, so we're going to see what happens.
And Jay Sauter knows that one thing that happens to racetracks, Dick Berggren, is when they get rain on them, they get slippery. Well, if you need a little help in how to figure out to drive a slippery track, you get one of the best on dirt, Frankie Kerr, star of the Pennzoil World of Outlaws series, hanging out with Jay Sauter, giving some tips, Dick, on how to slide your race car around.
And if you just plain want to go fast, here's the guy to do it. Jeff Burton, definitely one of the favorites both for today and tomorrow. This is a fast racetrack. How close to wide open do you run it?
Well, in the Busch car, you can run almost wide open every lap. We made like a 35-lap run yesterday in practice, and all but never touched, the throttle. Just stayed in it and just rolled out just a little bit. But it doesn't take a whole lot of rolling out. The thing is, though, if your car isn't just right and you go in there and try to run wide open, then you're too far in the corner to try to slow it down to get your car on the bottom. So your car's still got to handle well. It's not like a Daytona and Talladega where you just run around wide open easy. You got to have a good handling car in order to get it to run wide open.
Well, you're a superstar now, but we remember back in 1997 here at Texas, winning your very first race. What was that day like?
Well, it was really exciting. Anytime that you work as hard as everybody in this sport works, or anything for that matter, and you have success at it, that's a feeling that you never forget. To win a Winston Cup race is a really, really big deal, and to do it at a new track where, before they reconfigured the track, it was treacherous. It was really difficult. To win a big race, a very difficult race, meant a whole lot, because it meant that we accomplished a lot of things all in one day.
Is it still treacherous, or is that gone now that they've reconfigured it?
Well, it's treacherous because it's so fast. This track is just, for the banking that it has, even though it's a 1.5 mile track, it's just extraordinarily fast. Cannot tell you how fast it feels. This is probably the fastest feeling racetrack we go to here in Atlanta. And, we ran qualified right at 185 miles an hour in a Busch car, and 192, 193 in a Winston Cup car. That's faster than Daytona. So that's really, really fast.
Yeah, good luck to you both days. Race safe.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mike.
Today, Jeff Burton runs in 8th place. We've completed 19 laps, and we're under a red flag as they dry the track after rain. Mention should be made of Kevin Grubb. He started 33rd, and in just 19 laps, he's moved up to 21st position. The track drying efforts continue here at Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be back with you after this.
The rigid 10-inch table against CBS Tuesday.
CBS Sports coverage of the Albertsons 300 is sponsored by Armstrong Air Heating and Cooling Products. Strength you can rely on. Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by Pizza Hut, home of the new Ultimate Cheese Pizza. Another one of the best pizzas under one roof.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway, where the success of these jet dryers looks like it's going to cut the track drying time by 20 to 25% this afternoon, but a lot of rain fell here on the speedway earlier. So we're going to take you back to Daytona and taped coverage of this February's Napa 300. Let's go back to Daytona and pick up the action at lap 93. Jones there just got clotheslined. They just ran him right to the back of the lead draft, buddy. How'd they do it?
CBS 2 Chicago.
Well, they continue to dry the track here in Texas, and the jet dryers are having a lot of success in turns 1 and 2. The difficulty is that the humidity is still so high that they are not getting much assistance from Mother Nature. Turns 1 and 2 are in a pretty dry raceable condition, but the whole front straightaway, turns 3 and 4, the backstretch and pit road are still in need of a lot of work. So they continue and have redoubled their efforts and have machines going around the track, but it is still quite damp here in Texas. Well, let's go down to the garage area and meet the point standing runner-up in the Busch Series.
Todd Bodine is currently 5th on the field right now, Mike. And Todd, with the rain and everything, of course, that's the question to ask everybody. What do you think it's going to do to your car?
Well, I think the racetrack's just getting washed off, and it'll take a few laps. It'll come right back to where it was. So right now my car's a little too tight. That's kind of what everybody's been fighting all week, a little tight. But we made some changes this morning, which made the car better. But we needed to go a little more. But, we'll adjust that on pit stop and see what we got. I tell you, there's a couple guys that are really good. Mark's really fast. Kevin Harvick's really fast. So it's going to be tough. We got to get our act together a little bit.
You and I were standing up on pit road during qualifying, chatting, and you were telling me about running the lines here. And this is a track that sometimes it's better to not be flat out the entire time to be fast. Why is that?
Well, what happens is you end up carrying so much speed through the center of the corner that the car wants to push off the corner, and it's really hard to get that push out. We haven't figured it out. I'm sure a few guys have, but it's just a momentum factor. I mean, it just carries so much speed that it won't turn the car. And I actually, when Mark passed me a little while ago, he showed me a little different line that helped me through 1 and 2 a little bit. So I learned something there from Mark, which you can always learn something from Mark Martin.
And what was that?
Well, he was running it a little higher and floating the car and not driving it down in the corner with the throttle. And I started doing it, and it definitely helped my car. So when we go back, I'll be a little better there. But it's so hard to pass here. I mean, you got to be right on the bottom to go fast. There's no outside groove yet, and this rain's not going to help that. So, you know, we'll just have to stay in line and see what happens.
There's not many of us on the CBS announcing team outside of Buddy Baker and Ned Jarrett who have ever floated a car into a corner. Can you explain for those of us that just drive on highways how you would float a car into a corner?
Well, it's like you said earlier. If you try to run wide open and run the car, run the throttle way down in the corner, it just makes the car push. And what Mark was doing was he was running in the corner a little wider, not using so much throttle, really rolling up and letting the car take a set in before he got to the center of the corner, which got back in the throttle sooner, which then you end up going down the next straightaway faster, and it works really well.
Actually, there probably is one other guy who's floated a car into a corner, and he owns his own corner. Ken Squire, have you ever floated a car into Thunder Road's turns?
It never happens. Never happens. Not on the nation's side of excitement. Todd Bodine currently running in 5th, and his luck has run out as far as the 500 is concerned for tomorrow. 5 cars have not qualified, and Todd is one of them, along with Robbie Gordon, Dave Marcus, Wally Dallenbach, and Kyle Petty. Going to have to go home early from the 500 tomorrow. So we hope you're going to be with us to enjoy that race. They lost second round qualifying today with the weather as it was. So we'll give you a look a little later at how they're going to line up on that 500, which is going to be a thriller. Every one of them have. That first year was a surprise when we had Mark Martin leading all the way. It looked like he was going for the checkers. Engine blew up, and along comes Jeff Burton for his very first win. Always something different in this race, and tomorrow will be no exception. So let's go visit with David Green right now.
Thanks, Ken. He is the 1994 Busch Series champion. Thanks for hanging out. You could be, schmoozing with all the other drivers down here, hanging out with us, and hey, a great run in Bristol last week.
Wasn't bad. AFG Chevrolet, it's pretty darn good, and just had a little bad racing luck there at the end, but solid top 6 finish. We were happy with that.
You've had an eventful weekend here. Why don't we pick up the action in that first practice on Thursday?
Yeah, it started out good. We brought a brand new car here, qualified 17th. Actually, I messed up a little bit in qualifying, tried to cut the corner a little too sharp, and slid the nose and fell back to 17th. But first practice on Friday morning, kind of got turned around down there in the corner, got ran into and hit the wall, and had to pull the backup car off, which was a pretty good car. Ran at Atlanta earlier this year, Darlington, Rockingham, great race car. So we unloaded it, and then had a little motor problem the second practice there. The guys, when they left here last night, they had no problem sleeping. But my hat's off. They did a wonderful job. We ended up happy our 5th fast, and awful happy, even though today we have to start 43rd. But car's good right here at the beginning, so we can't wait to get it going.
But that's going to be a concern, starting way back.
It is, and when you have a car like our car showed yesterday, capable of running with Mark Martin and Jeff and a couple of those other guys up there, it's hard to spot them, those 40-some-odd spots. But, the rain might help us out a little bit here. We got to knock off about 10 or 15 of them, and so now we're actually starting to race a little closer than dead last. So, but again, my guys have done a great job. It's unfortunate we lost that car there, but we'll get it rebuilt for California.
Could be one of the cars to watch today, Dick Berggren.
It will indeed, and another to watch tomorrow will be Scott Pruitt, who was a winner in Champ Car racing, but a rookie here. Up and down years so far, missed some races, but you're going to start 3rd tomorrow in the same car that started 2nd at Las Vegas. How tough is this series?
It's been real tough. In fact, I was joking with the guys from MCI. I need to start selling tickets to this roller coaster ride we're on. But it's good to come to a race like this. The Tide car ran well right out of the box. I think Ford's done a good job with the body this year, and we're just trying to make the most out of it. It's been tough. We've had to go home from 3 races, and what's been exciting for me and I've been real proud of is all the guys. They've been real up. They've been focused on doing their job on the next test, on the next race, and it's nice to come here and run as good as we are.
Some of the Winston Cup drivers don't like this place. They say too fast, the walls are too hard, it's a bit intimidating. How do you feel about it?
I don't know. From what I'm used to, it doesn't seem that fast. We've run real well at tracks like this. This place, I see Fontana, Michigan. You know, at Fontana, we qualified pole at 235 mile an hour average. So, so for me, I'm liking these places, and I think we're gonna do real well here. And I still got a little to learn on the short tracks.
Well, you're going to learn a good bit tomorrow and run all day. Mike Joy?
Thanks, Dick. Scott Pruitt, great in sports cars and in open wheel cars. Sunday on 60 Minutes, you'll meet the young beauty who grew up to become Queen Raina of Jordan and the troubled teenager who grew up to become Eric Clapton. That's Sunday on 60 Minutes. When we come back, the conclusion of February's Napa Auto Parts 300 from Daytona. We'll be right back. Track drying efforts here continue at Texas Motor Speedway. Mother Nature is not being very cooperative. She only does that when Jeff Burton's in the lead and there's $1 million on the line, because every time a race rains out in the middle and there's a big bonus, it's Jeff Burton who collects it. Mother Nature's a Jeff Burton fan. But looking ahead to tomorrow, we'll show you some of the starters in the DirecTV 500 that you'll see live on CBS. And one thing that hits me is the 5 rookies that'll start in the top 20. Very much like today's field, a lot of inexperience up front.
I keep thinking back. There's something that makes me think Dale Earnhardt Jr. for tomorrow. He is running very, very fast. As a matter of fact, he won his first race ever right here at Texas. He knows the racetrack, and for some reason, I think he's going to be a contender.
But, Ned, hard to beat that experience.
Well, it really is, and the experience of Terry Labonte. Of course, he's a defending champion of tomorrow's race, qualified on the pole. It's been about 4 or 5 years since Terry's been on the pole anywhere. When he qualifies that well, you better watch out in the race.
So Terry Labonte will start on the pole as we show you some of the lineup. Kevin LePage from Shelburne, Vermont, up there on the outside. There's rookie Scott Pruitt next to Earnhardt. Steve Park will be with rookie Dale Jarrett with Steve Park, who had another great qualifying run here at Texas this week. Jeff Fuller, another rookie. That makes 2 of them in the top 10. Let's go down to pit road and get a look forward to tomorrow from Dick Bergman.
Well, during the rain delay, the mechanics have worked non-stop on the race cars that'll run in tomorrow's event. And this is one of the really good ones, Mark Martin's race car. He has won half of the NASCAR stock car races ever run here at Texas. He is starting 10th tomorrow. All he has to do to win is beat 42 other guys. Let's go to Ralph.
Well, this Texas racetrack is a very tricky track, and it is one where you would think that veteran experience would rise to the top. But, of course, this is a track where we've also seen some very unusual things happen over the course of the time that we've raced here. So there is not a lot of doubt that maybe one of those rookies, like a Dale Earnhardt Jr., a young driver, could come in and win this one, Bill Stevens. I wouldn't be surprised to see Earnhardt Jr. there either.
Good point, Ralph. Another thing to ponder, 6 races so far this season and 6 different winners. Brand equity. We've seen a Chevy, a Ford, and a Pontiac all make it to the winner's circle. And remember, back at Daytona, it looked like the Fords were going to call the tune this year, but now that the Chevys have more front spoiler, their program has come to life. Terry Labonte in a Chevy on the pole. We mentioned that Mark Martin's won here, so is Jeff Burton in Fords. Could be an anything can happen day tomorrow, Ken Squire.
Yes, indeed. Anything could happen. And when you have 6 of the top 8 as non-winners in Winston Cup racing, wow, look out. Here comes LePage on that outside of row 2, and Pruitt and Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Park, Fuller and Jerry Nadeau. Guy on the pole, of course, he knows his way around here. He won it last year. Texas Terry Labonte on the pole at better than 192 miles per hour on this 1.5 mile track, and he sure intends to impress this Texas crowd, which will be well over 200,000 people, with another sterling effort for the Hendrick Racing Stable when we get racing tomorrow here in Texas. And we certainly hope you're going to be with us to enjoy all of the CBS flag-to-flag coverage. Let's go back to Mike Joy.
And Ken, when we come back, we'll tell you about our coverage plans for the rest of the day for the Albertsons 300. Tuesday on CBS, when Mac's integrity is questioned, Harm will go to extremes to fight for her honor. Don't miss America's #1 action drama, an all-new Jag, Tuesday on CBS. We'll be back to Texas Motor Speedway right after this. Here at Texas Motor Speedway, track drying efforts continue. It's going to be a while before they go racing, so CBS Sports is going on to Indianapolis and the Final Four. When this race starts later today, not now, but when the race starts, you will see it live on TNN. This is, of course, weather permitting. TNN continues with regular programming, but when the race runs, you'll see it live on TNN cable. Well, Ned, buddy, I guess it's kind of like the drivers. You get ready to go, and you go out and you run 19 laps, and then I sit here in the rain and wait. And Mother Nature won today.
Yeah, and they started out so well, and I was enjoying the race, a lot of competition for the lead, and all of a sudden it starts raining. You know, it just puts a damper on things, but when they go back, you can count on a lot of action.
I think there will be plenty of action. We still have that experience and that youth out there battling against each other, so it should be a good race.
Well, when you start with 3 lead changes in the first 3 laps, that's a pretty good way to get going on a track that has a reputation as a real car breaker, but also one that has been really competitive. Kevin Harvick is the leader. We are red flagged at 19 laps. Joe Nemechek, Mark Martin, Jay Sauter, and Todd Bodine are the first 5. Weather permitting, when this race restarts, you will see it live on TNN. So for Ken Squire, Ned Jarrett, Buddy Baker, Dick Bergeron, Ralph Shaheen, and Bill Stevens, I'm Mike Joy saying so long from Texas Motor Speedway. Join us here tomorrow beginning at 1:30 Eastern Time for live flag-to-flag coverage of the DirecTV 500. Coming up next, the Final Four show, followed by Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Florida, North Carolina. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.
There's only one fixed on stop.